Who exactly stood behind Jungkook's arrival that night? Is this just a coincidence? Or is it just a big step that has long been designed in silence by HYB? As the fans waited for Jimin's gentle smile, the figure that appeared was Taehyung, with a blank stare and a shaking aura. What happened at the airport that night? Why did Taehyung show up and nobody else? Taehyung caught on camera picking up Jungkook. The moment that made the army cry. The night sky was so familiar. There were no signs of rain, nor any news that something extraordinary was about to happen. But fate, as always, often runs in silence, sneaking between the ticking of the clock and the footsteps that impatiently await. The army had already filled the outside of the airport, hoping, expecting, and preparing to welcome the golden magne, Jungkook, who was rumored to be returning home that night after undergoing a private schedule full of secrets. All hoped that the figure who welcomed him was Jimn, the closest friend, who always gave warmth. But it was precisely there that everything changed. And the tears fell, not because of happiness, but because of something much deeper. Something that hasn't been revealed until now. The question is, why did Taehyung appear more than that? Is it just a friendship? Or is there something much bigger, heavier, deeper that we have never known all along? At exactly 22:46 p.m. South Korean time, fans who had been waiting outside Incheon Airport's international arrival gate watched as a small motorcade of HYB security staff began to compact the security area. Speculation surged. That must be Jimin. He must have wanted to surprise Jungkook. But what was the surprise of all eyes when a luxurious black car stopped and from inside it came out a tall figure, dressed in a black hoodie and a wide-brimmed hat.
No smiles. No greeting.
Just a cold blank stare. And that was Taehyung. The silence immediately felt like an explosion. All mobile phones vibrate almost simultaneously. The camera was hurriedly lifted, and a quiet whisper turned into a scream of disbelief. Why Taehyung? Where's Jimin? Even some soldiers who could not hold back their emotions immediately cried, not because they were sad, but because they did not understand. Because confused. Because it feels like something is changing very much. Jungkook left shortly after. Dressed in casual clothes and a black mask, he looked tired, but as soon as his eyes swept forward and saw Taehyung standing there, his body stiffened for a moment. At that moment, the camera caught an unusual expression. Not happy, not angry, but a mixture of awkwardness, guilt, and shock. They stared at each other for 2 seconds that felt like 2 centuries. Why no hugs? Why not say hello? Taehyung just nodded a little, then turned to the car, letting Jungkook walk towards him himself. And when the car doors closed, not a single word came from their lips. Everything happened in silence, which, on the contrary, shook the entire fandom with the loudest voice. This is where the big unavoidable question begins to arise. Is there something going on between Jungkook and Jimin? Or is there a secret mission that Taehyung is carrying out at HYB's request? Is this about friendship or about something more serious, something that can't be said in public? Surprisingly, a few hours after the incident, one of HYB's staff who did not want to be named uploaded a story that was immediately deleted a few minutes later. In this article, there is a brief description. Everything is scheduled. We just follow the instructions. What does that mean? Is the pickup by Taehyung part of a scenario HYB devised to change the narrative of BTS' internal relationship in the public eye? Or is it a kind of affirmation that not everything should be explained clearly? Many say HYB is now playing on a mine of fan emotions.
Why?
Because in the past 2 months, the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook has seemed strained. No social media interaction, no familiar look they used to share with the camera, and even on several occasions, Jimin seemed to shy away when Jungkook mentioned Taehyung's name. Did Jimin know that the one who was going to pick up Jungkook that night was Taehyung? Or is he himself also surprised by the unilateral decision of the company? One thing that made this event even more emotional was the moment captured by a fan. Just as Jungkook entered the car, his hands were clenched into strong fists, and behind the mask, his eyes were reddened. It's like holding something back. Angry?
Sad? Confused?
No one knows for sure, Even more electrifying, some of the army even reshared snippets of old videos of Taehyung and Jungkook laughing together in the past, comparing it to the cold and frozen atmosphere at the airport that night. The change was too noticeable to ignore. And now, a new conspiracy theory has emerged that HYB is rearranging the narrative about BTS and separating dynamics that are too threatening to the image of individual members. Is it true that Jimin and Jungkook are too close to make the agency feel the need to do emotional balancing by presenting Taehyung in Jungkook's big moments? Another question that sticks out and haunts is all this really for the sake of image? Or is this a form of warning? Someone from the fan community forum even wrote with emotion, "If this is just part of HYB's agenda, then they've played our wounds." It's not about who invited whom. It's about honesty, about emotions, and about friendships that now feel fragile. And whether intentional or not, that night Jimin uploaded a dark Instagram story. Only black. Without writing. No sound. Only silence that speaks too much to be understood by ordinary logic. Then, why is Taehyung willing to go through all this? Does he himself not feel strange, being at the center of events that should not belong to him? Or is it more than just a command? Someone once said, Taehyung's blank stare is a harbinger of a storm. And that night, the storm had indeed come. Without rain, without lightning, only the silence bites, piercing the feelings of anyone who once believed that the BTS family would never change. And when the soldiers closed their eyes that night, not a few of them cried. Not out of hate, but because of the loss of warmth that used to feel so real. Because that night, it wasn't just Jungkook who was picked up, but the army's entire trust is now being questioned again. But this is just the beginning. Because in reality, after the black car drove away from the airport, another video began to quietly spread, recorded from inside the airport parking area by someone claiming to be HYB's logistics staff. In the video, it is clearly seen how the security staff opened the car door for Taehyung first, not for Jungkook. A gesture that indicates that Taehyung is not just a friend who came suddenly. He is planned, scheduled, prioritized. For what? And why does he look so cold? One of the details that made netizens even more silent was that the CCTV camera that used to be on at the arrival door that night was actually off for almost 2 minutes, just when Taehyung and Jungkook met each other. Suspicion soars. What does HYB actually avoid? Why is the most emotional part precisely escaped the official spotlight? And again, HYB was silent. No statement. There is no clarification. No single sentence gives an answer, just leaves everyone stuck in the interpretations and personal wounds created by uncertainty. Some large, usually neutral fanbase accounts are starting to take a stand. One of them wrote on Twitter, Jungkook and Taehyung are in the same car, but our hearts are empty. Where's Jimin? Why are there expressions like that? It is not a moment we wait for, it is a moment that makes us fear what is to come. What really happened in that car? Are the words spoken? Did Taehyung ask Jungkook? Did Jungkook answer with a trembling voice? Or were they just silent all the way? No one knows. But some surprising speculations began to emerge. Some say that Jungkook actually didn't know who was going to pick him up. That since he got off the plane, he thought he would meet HYB's staff or even Jimin as usual. And the moment he saw Taehyung was a moment of total shock that he had never predicted. If this is so, then the next question will be very painful. Is this some kind of testing? Or even emotional punishment from the company against Jungkook for something that had happened before? Some ARMY seniors who are very close to the private forum of fans began to remember the incident 2 months ago, when Jimin had disappeared from social media for more than a week and appeared with puffy eyes at a live event. Is that time the point at which something breaks? Something that is now slowly starting to burn all the emotional sides of BTS, especially the Trio 95Z and Magne line. What makes it all the more stifling is the fact that Taehyung, after that night of pickup, didn't post anything. Not a single story. Not a single post. He was not even seen at his favorite cafe, where he used to celebrate small moments with the army. He disappeared in silence. Whereas before he was so active in sharing footage of music, twilight atmosphere, or even absurd chatter that made ARMY smile. It's all gone. As if he knows that he knows what's going on. And he chose silence. To make matters worse, information emerged from a fan who worked at the airport service that night that Taehyung arrived much earlier, about an hour before Jungkook's plane landed. He sat alone in the VVIP lounge, not talking to anyone, just staring at his phone. What was on his mind at the time? Was he reading a message from HYB? Or rather, preparing to face someone who used to be so close, now feels so foreign? Jimn did not escape the spotlight. That same night, he briefly appeared on Weverse just to write on. That's the time it takes to bring the entire fandom of the world to a standstill in bated breath. At exactly 2:43 a.m. Korean time, a post appeared on Jungkook's personal Instagram account. Not the story, not reels, but permanent posts. A photo with a gray tone, a little blur, as if taken secretly. In it, two familiar figures are seen, Jungkook and Jimn, sitting on a wooden park bench as the sun barely sets. No bright filters. There is no smile pose. Just two young men in loose hoodies, looking down and not talking to each other. One looks at the ground, one looks at the sky. The caption? "Can time come back for us?" 5 words that instantly lit a huge fire in ARMY's heart. Comments flooded in within seconds, from pleading, crying, to asking, "What do you mean, Jungkook?" But before the world could truly understand or digest its meaning, the photograph disappeared. Exactly 3 minutes after it was posted. No trace. There are no archives. Even fanbase accounts that are notoriously quick to capture moments can only save blur screenshots in low quality because those uploads actually erase faster than normal, and that's where it all starts to feel unreal. What did Jungkook want to say? Is the photo a form of resistance to the narrative being imposed by HYB? Or rather, a hidden message for someone who that night did not show up at the airport? Someone who might be barred from attending. Does Jimn really want to pick up Jungkook? That question resonated across the platform. Many ARMYs speculated that Jimn, at first, was the one HYB scheduled to welcome Magne back. But something happened. Either there was an order to retreat, or perhaps, even more painfully, he himself chose to leave. Because there are unfinished wounds. Because there are words that are never really spoken. Then came the theory that left the fandom world speechless. What if Jim is there? But not to pick up. Just to see from a distance.
Yeah.
A grainy photo from the far side of the terminal shows a figure in a hat and a dark hoodie standing alone, with his back to the camera and just staring at the black car carrying Taehyung and Jungkook away. There is no definitive evidence that it was Jimn. But there are those who enlarge the resolution, matching shoes, posture, even the curves of the hands. And the result is electrifying. Almost all the details match. If it was Jimn, why didn't he come closer? Why just stand? Why let the moment pass just like that, without a single greeting? Is it because he knows it is not allowed? Or because his own heart couldn't? While the world continues to wonder, HYB finally releases a statement that actually makes everything even more blurred. Member pickup is part of the company's internal procedures in accordance with security protocols. No decisions involving personal issues between members. A cold statement. Too formal. Too soon. And even more strange, it lasted only 1 hour on the official page before being deleted without a trace. There was no subsequent clarification. No updates. Why did HYB remove it? Is it because of public pressure? Or is it because they realized that one sentence actually opens up more questions than answers? Along with all that comes another shocking news. Taehyung has reportedly canceled attending a brand endorsement event in Paris scheduled for next week. No reason was given, only a sudden change of the artist's personal agenda. But many smell something darker. Was he punished for the impulsive act of picking up Jungkook without his full blessing? Or is it in the process of a bigger restructuring? Of course, the ARMY did not remain silent. The hashtags #ProtectOurBoys and #LetThemBeTogether were trending globally for 2 whole days.
Petitions began to be raised.
Emotional threads began to emerge, all demanding one thing: answers. However, it is precisely in this situation of hurt and uncertainty that another surprise emerges from an unexpected direction. Jungkook's father, Through his old cafe fan account, which has barely been active for more than a year, he wrote one sentence that left thousands of fans sobbing in silence. Some distance is not created by time or place, but by a fear of loss that is too great. The sentence echoed. Many believe that it is the father's